Okay, we are here to talk about Paradise Season 2. Three episodes released this week on Hulu. Episode 1, Graceland. Episode 2, Mayday. And Episode 3, Another Day in Paradise. We'll try to do a quick recap of all three of these before we jump into our discussion. In Episode 1, we meet Annie, who prior to the apocalypse is taking a job as a tour guide at Graceland. She and her coworker Gail have to hunker down after the incident. Gail eventually dies. But it's been after 2 years, Annie notices some sunlight starting to come in, so she goes outside only to find a group that she first thinks is threatening, but then she learns that they are mostly harmless and they want to go shut down all the nuclear reactors around the country. They want to go to Colorado and kill someone named Alex. Annie becomes close with one of them named Link, but she refuses to go with him to Colorado. A few months later, sorry, not Alex, Annie is pregnant and sees a plane crash. When she tracks down that crash, she finds Xavier Collins unconscious. That leads us into episode 2, where we flash back to 2004 when Collins injures his knee badly when he's training to be a Secret Service agent. In the hospital, he meets Terry. He helps her when she loses her sight after scoliosis surgery. That flashes then forward to the present day when Collins crashes his plane and is met by a group of refugee children who help take care of him. He later kills a man who was stalking those children, but after being injured and stabbed, he passes out and wakes up and discovers that they stole everything from him, and then tries to find his way to where he's going. Annie discovers him, and after she learns he come from the Colorado bunker, it threatens him and forces him to go with the bunker with her. In episode 3, we see Redmond wake up, but before that, we go to flash to her before the apocalypse when she met with a scientist who predicted the end of the world and said that conditions would get worse because of the buildup of greenhouse gases. She begins to work on a project to try to counteract that and hires Agent Billy Pace, which we saw in the first season, to force a scientist to sell her his company, which is valuable information that she needs. The scientist euthanizes his wife before Pace kills him, and then he also begs Pace not to harm his protege, who we find out is Link. Back in the bunker in present day, Redmond is questioned by new President Baines and claims she doesn't know anything that's going on with this project. She's placed under house arrest and wants to know how Alex is doing. Agent Driscoll, still working with Redmond, kills President Baines and frames Agent Robinson for the murder. And then we close in the bunker prison where President Bradford's son Jeremy asks one of the scientists, Anders, to help to show him how to blow the doors off the bunker. I did look on August 1st of 2025. We did recap this whole first season on a podcast. If we want to go look at that, I think we were very intrigued and interested by a number of aspects of season 1. Now we have 3 of the 8 episodes of season 2. So the question is, are you still in after all this time and after these 3 for very interestingly structured episodes?
Yeah, no, I'm in. Give me more emo Phil Collins covers of the same song. I was talking to someone about the fact that this came out, or I was like letting them know in case they were, we're aware that season 2 had premiered, and he said, "Oh, they switch up the music." I was like, "No, of course not. Still the Phil Collins song. Always the Phil Collins song." Um, we even name an episode after the Phil Collins song. People love that song here. I'm definitely in, and we've talked about many times that I think both of us tend to prefer when something is released one episode a week. For me,
Hmm.
that includes season premieres usually, and even the premiere of a show for the first time, where sometimes I feel overburdened because they've released 3 episodes. I do think 3 I can handle. Somehow 3 is the limit. Peacock has
Yeah.
done 4 episode premieres sometimes, and that's just too much. I don't know why. It's just like 4 hours in one week. What do you? Anyway, with this one, I thought it worked, and it made sense to me to get all 3 of these episodes given, um, the structure of things, where it's like episode 1 introduces us to Annie, episode 2 is focused on
Yeah.
Xavier, and it's not really till episode 3 that we get back to the bunker. So it kind of makes sense to me that they did put out all 3 of these the first week. What about you?
Yeah, I actually, when I saw that, I had exactly the same feeling like, oh, here we go again. They've done 3 episodes, for whatever reason. They just want to hook you into these and then make you wait week to week. But having these episodes focus on one character in particular, and the first episode being a character we've never met before, it did help to that there were these small pieces and strings that we pulled on that built on each other throughout these episodes and things that connected them to each other that even if we do end up in a lot of the seasons sort of jumping around from Xavier and Annie to the bunker to flashbacks, that I can see how they're starting to put the pieces together, and I'd be intrigued to see how it all works out.
Yeah, same. If anything, I felt like episode two, maybe, I don't know. I don't even have a real complaint there, so I'll just not make it. You know what I mean? But episode, like, we could have maybe condensed a little bit there or something, right? In terms of focusing on Xavier and then the flashbacks with when he met Terry, when he was hurt in the hospital. I mean, it makes some sense. It's one of those things where it's like the present injury resonates with the past injury or whatever.
Right.
I get it. I was entertained, but I don't know that we needed it. I don't know. I don't know if this is me being a curmudgeon, but sometimes with some of the stuff, it's like I already knew he loved his wife.
Yeah.
I didn't really, I didn't really need you to drive home how much he loves his wife. Uh,
I
but
thought there
fair
was,
enough, you
know,
did.
they're trying to tell us a little bit more about how devoted and committed a person he is and how he will
Yeah.
even when his time in the hospital is up, he will stay and take care of her. And so just sort of that mission driven personality. It's like I think we knew that. So I was with you, but then I couldn't think of a way of how they would have built his story into either episode one or episode three. So because that made sense, they had to give him a solo one.
Yeah, I think it works. Uh, I almost retract what I just said because maybe they did need to drive that home. One of the things I was thinking about after watching the third episode, where things are sort of, things are sort of ultimately coming together. Was it in the third episode or was this in the second episode as well? It's running together for me a little bit. Sorry, because I watched them all three. Okay, but it's the end of episode two when Annie has him handcuffed, right?
Yes, yes,
Um, and then episode three, Another Day in Paradise, is focused in the bunker. Okay, but moving forward, perhaps in part because of how much they do drive home his love for his wife Terry, none of me believes that he's going to immediately turn around and take Annie to Colorado.
no,
What about
no,
you?
not at all, not at all. And that to me means there'll be certainly that tension between the two of them. It will be a while before this group reunites with the bunker group. Like I said, I don't have complaints about it. It's just, it's interesting that already we know that in 25% of the episodes of this season, your main star is not in them. And so is that something that continues throughout this season? I'll be curious to know. I don't want to go too many episodes of the season without Collins and what he's trying to do. And now, he's in Arkansas, wants to go to Atlanta, but she wants to go to Colorado. Um, but I mean, his engagement with the rest of the people in the bunker, I thought was some of the more stimulating stuff of the first season. I'm not sure we're going to get any of that.
I kind of doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward, the episode jumps between locations or characters. You know what I mean? So instead of saying, okay, well, here's an episode focused on Xavier and Annie, and then here's an episode back on the bunker, I wouldn't be surprised if each episode cuts between those two storylines. I kind of hope it does.
Yeah.
If they don't, okay, but it's very hard for me to see. I don't think Collins is getting back to the bunker before the end of the season.
No, as I would say, you and I watch a show that is a very, very similar structure, and I just don't see how that's possible. And maybe that's good. That means there'll be a third season where we have, him coming back to see what's transpired since he left. Clearly, a lot is going to and already has happened. But that'll be hard to imagine that he just all of a sudden on horseback or whatever can make it from Arkansas to Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they'll get there in the first place, but I just have to think, particularly as I sat with it, okay, Annie's got him handcuffed. She's got a gun. Annie's got a gun, right? Um, and so on, right? But I feel like from what we know of Xavier as a character, again, there's no way he's going to say, okay, I'm just going to turn right back around and take you to Colorado. without
Right.
even trying to look for my wife in Atlanta. There's no way. Like
Exactly.
he would let I think he would say to her, "You can kill me if you prefer. I'm not going back until I've found my wife." Right? He's at least got to look for her. He's at least got to make a more of an attempt. Right? So it'll be interesting to see how the dynamics between them play out. The fact that they made her pregnant also is a wrinkle there because like I don't know how much traveling around the country will she be able to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how far along she is at this point. Um,
Yeah.
Visibly
She
pregnant, but
she doesn't look very like she's early. It looks like it's been a while.
yeah. And I guess they want to make it. I guess she wants to go to Colorado now because she's pregnant. Is that your read on things? Because Link
Yeah,
wants
they
her
would
to
have
go
that.
with him in the first place, and she doesn't. And but now she's pregnant.
Yeah, they would have medical care, certainly more than she could do herself. I mean, I
Yeah,
think again, no sense that she has any transportation other than a horse. I'm just not sure she's anticipating how hard that journey is is going to be.
yeah. Well, I mean, they have Elvis's cars, right? I don't know if any of them work or.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Link and the other guy said cars aren't terribly useful at this point in the world, but uh, I don't know. Clearly, highways wouldn't be well maintained or anything like that, so maybe that's part of it. But older cars would still work, I think, in contrast to newer cars, given
Yeah,
that there
no,
has been EMP.
no electronic components. That's right. That's why I think that group was saying some of the older things, yes, certainly had some more value these days. So that could work. It's trying to think. Yeah, that really be the only option for them.
So, or a horse, or maybe it's a horse. I don't know. We'll see. We're getting ahead of ourselves on that front. I just think that Xavier's going to insist on going to Atlanta. He has to at least make more of an effort to find Terry. He's not going to give that up, right?
Right. Exactly.
No matter how you threaten him or anything else. Can I throw in a brief aside, complaining about pregnancy as a plot device? Um,
I have to
because
admit, I was shocked. I mean, shocked when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, wow, you're going to introduce that into this story after they're together." I was really surprised they did that.
it's also maybe because also this week I was watching something else, and I guess to fully avoid spoiler possibilities, I won't even say what show it was, but it was a similar thing where it was like the two people had sex one time and then she's pregnant, and
Yep.
it's just part of me sitting here like, these people never heard of like pulling out, like what's going on, like like I mean, and in the real world too, all sorts of couples want to get pregnant and they have to work hard at it, and so it's like this plot device of, oh, they had sex one time and he's gone now, of course, same thing in this other
Yeah.
show.
You
He's
definitely
out of the story and she's left alone with his baby because they had sex this one time, and
you got to be
it's not
mindful of that stuff,
implausible,
and
I suppose, but it just
you
feels a
got to
little
watch
cheap to
that
me.
stuff in the apocalypse. You got to be careful.
Yeah, just whatever. A little cheap to me. What's it in The Last of Us too? They had something like this, right?
Yep.
Oops,
Yep. They
pregnancy.
did.
Anyway, uh, hopefully I came across the right way. I'm well aware, everyone, that women do get pregnant and it is possible and practice safe sex and all of that. It just, it very much felt can be deployed as it's like there's a trope, you know. There's like a oopsie, she's pregnancy trope. I guess
Yeah.
com- quote unquote complaining about a little bit. But that is a wrinkle in terms of what's going to happen as we move forward. That we have to deal with her pregnancy and then giving birth, and so I don't know. I mean, it's also I'm imagining that Xavier is going to insist on doing more to look for Terry, as I've said a few times, right? But say, okay, but sure, after I find my wife, I will take you back with me to Colorado. So I'm imagining that it's going to
Yeah.
lead to Xavier and Annie traveling together. You too? Is that what you think is going to happen?
Yeah, he clearly wants to find his wife, then go take her back to their kids. And so he wants to go back there. He feels like he left a place where his people are in charge and he can get back there because of relationships with Robinson and other people that and Redmond's been shot. So he can get back in. He just got to find his wife first. So he certainly wants to go back at some point.
Yeah, no, I guess I was thinking more from Annie's perspective, and maybe it's a minor tension, and maybe the fact that she's pregnant changes her thinking in a meaningful way, and that's part of
Yeah.
what they're doing there. Um, but like the fact that she didn't go with Link and the others in the first place, like she
Right.
wants to stay there at Graceland alone, or would prefer to stay there alone. Um, that made some sense to me, at least. So if the shift in her thinking now is that she wants to go to Colorado because she's pregnant, that makes some sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Link's a father and all that. They were going to Colorado, and she doesn't want to be alone with a baby, and all that makes some sense to me. But if I'm presuming that Xavier is going to insist on doing more to look for Terry first, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me that Annie would go with, other than her not trusting him to come back for her or something like that. Again,
Yeah,
anyway, I
that
think that's
that's
what's going to
that,
happen.
that certainly is the case. Yeah, that's very valid.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Other things, maybe we need to talk more about the bunker. Anything else you wanted to say about Annie before we kind of leave that behind?
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean, clearly we're going to have some sort of Annie and Link connection in the future. We are going to about to talk to the fact of what Alex is. That comes up. So yeah, I think we can go on to the other ones.
Okay, definitely. Let me just say one last thing, I guess, which is I actually enjoyed this first episode of the season
Hmm.
a lot. I thought it was a very good episode. Clearly, kind of a risk to begin the season with an episode centered on a character we've never met before.
Yes.
But I thought what they did there worked well, and got me caring about this character and so on. And um, I also enjoyed the fresh perspective on what occurs with the event, which is I think that's what they call it, right? The event,
The
whatever.
event is how I've seen it referenced.
The
Yeah.
the end of the world, basically. So I thought that was good. You mentioned Alex. To connect it up with Annie a little bit, she overhears Link and the other guy, whose name I didn't make a note of, talking about how they want to kill Alex in Colorado,
Right.
right? In the flashbacks with Billy and Patrick Fischler,
Yes.
RIP, I was excited about Patrick Fischler being in season two. I guess it's just the one episode.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, he could be in more flashbacks, but probably not. The name of his wife is Alex, and so I guess what I'm slowly working towards is, do you think Alex is a person, or do you think it's the name of whatever Sinatra's quote unquote side project is?
Yeah, I think that the conclusion I drew was that the scientist named his company or named his project after his wife. That just stuck.
Yeah,
Link, being his protege, knew that that was the case, or certainly learned that that was the case after the fact. And so Sinatra and the others that are involved in this project, it's now become to them as well, colloquially known as Alex. And so that's what they want to go, quote unquote, kill when they get there.
I think so too. I'll be honest. I pulled up the IMDb for Paradise and started scrolling through to see whether we knew a character named Alex in this show, and like there was someone pretty far down. I don't really remember from season one who was named Alex. Um, could be, but or maybe that was the credit for his wife. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was looking at it after season two had come out. This is my take on it as well, though. That what they're
Yeah.
talking about is what they're calling Alex is the project or the device or what have you.
Mhm.
Um, so let's talk about this more because one of the things I think the show is doing, which I find quite interesting, is in relation to this question about like who we're rooting for.
Yeah.
Like if Blink and the others want to kill Alex or they want to destroy it, well, why would they want to do that when the indications we're getting on the other side of things and the flashbacks with Sinatra is that when she meets with that scientist and they drink the bottle of expensive scotch or whatever,
Mm.
um, he says this stuff about the Venus scenario, right? He's like, okay, well, um, this is what's going to happen is basically what we've seen already happen with the event and its immediate aftermath. But then he says things are going to clear up. People are going to be happy that they survived. They think they'll make it through, but they don't know what's really coming. And what's really going to come is going to be worse. It's going to be the thing that spirals out to make the Earth like Venus, which I am aware there are people in the world who have mapped out that as a possible scenario with global warming and things like that for what it's worth. So what I'm putting together is that Sinatra's side project, which he thinks is really super important, is something that will keep that from happening. And if that's
Hmm.
the case, I would agree that is super important, right? So it's almost putting me on Sinatra's side here, if you follow. Like, why would this other group want to destroy the thing that's going to save humanity?
Yeah,
Enough
and I
thoughts on
would
all that,
say
or
I thought I knew the answer to that until we learned that Link was this scientist protege. And since, I mean, we assume he knows what the company does. He knows something about what the project is. He knows what the science is behind what they're trying to do or what they're trying to steal by taking the company from them. I mean, I thought it was as simple as whatever it is that Sinatra is doing seemingly controls their world or controls their environment or does something that does not allow them to have whatever, whether it's just personal or environmental freedom that they need. And so we're going to go stop this thing. But, with that group not knowing what the ramifications are if we turn it off. But now I'm kind of confused because Link
right?
clearly would understand what she's trying to do, why it would be so important, why she would try to steal it. So there's some piece of information we don't have yet.
So does this put us on the path of the possibility that what it's going to do is going to kill a bunch of people? I guess that's one. Like Link understands what the thing would do. Still, I mean, maybe I need to spell that out more. What I'm thinking is it possible that this is some device that will prevent the Venus scenario from happening through yeah, something akin to an ice age or something that's not going to kill all the surviving human beings that are out there or something like that,
Yeah.
where it could make some sense. Say, oh, we got to stop that. We have to stop her from killing everyone. But even if it were something like that, which maybe it will be, yeah, it's a rough trade-off, but part of me still thinks, like if that's what you have to do to keep the planet from turning into Venus, maybe that's what you have to do. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I also wonder if it's like um, she's figured out how to isolate it to just the people in the bunker or something that, it only protects them, or there's only a sense of, that there are people that are under his protection and not everyone else is sort of this is an eat the rich scenario where, no, you don't get to have exclusive rights to this thing. You give it to all of us or you give it to none of us, that type of situation. I don't know, but it could be okay, we're just going to draw the power away from the bunker to make sure we're taken care of, but certainly we don't have enough power to make sure the whole country or globe is taken care of.
Yeah, that's an interesting possibility, you know. But then the fact that they use the word kill when they talk about killing Alex. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We just got to wait for more information there. But I'm definitely intrigued. Uh, I'm going to try to refrain for the most part from making too many complaints about plausibility on this show. but because it's just like, no, that's not the point. You know, nothing's plausible about this. But I don't know how plausible I find it that it seems like this is Sinatra's secret project. And I don't know. I just part of me has this feeling like if it really is as important as I think it is, that
Yeah.
other people should also know about it. And you kind of get the impression that they don't really, or not very many do. And I don't know. I'm curious to see where that goes as well. But just logistically, you know, it would be pretty stupid if Sinatra dying at the end of season one had meant, oh, well, that plan's over,
Yeah.
something like that. So there have
It's
to be others who know to carry it out.
Yeah, I do wonder how many people that we're introduced to this season are uncovered as, agents of Sinatra and are working for her, such as Billy was and Driscoll is. Dr. Tarabi was at one point, but is not anymore. So how many people working for her are keeping these secrets or a part of this thing? That's probably something still to come as we learn more about what it exactly is that she's doing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What's going to happen here? I mean, there are a couple of things to talk about in terms of the politics in the bunker.
Mm.
You mentioned Driscoll, Jane, sociopath, should have given her that we, and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you just said, she's clearly working for Sinatra and working to get back into Sinatra's good graces after she shot her at the end of season one. Is all that hang together for us well enough? Like, do we? I guess we have to
I,
believe that she shot her to keep Xavier from killing her. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then I was so confused by that not confused. I was more chuckling at the conversation like, Sinatra, what do you remember about what happened? Oh, I
Yeah,
remember nothing. Trauma sure does things to your brain. Oh, okay. Well, if you remember, like, she's clearly not telling her the truth, that you either are believing that or not believing it and playing like you don't. So she clearly knows what she did to her. Is going to hold that against her at some point.
I think so. Yeah, I don't believe that Sinatra doesn't remember. Um, but thinking from Jane's perspective in terms of her motivation of shooting Sinatra, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we have to believe what she said, which is that she thought Xavier was going to kill her, and so she shot her, but purposefully
Yeah.
shot her in a way where she'd be able to survive.
Yeah, that's the only conclusion I can draw. I think that's exactly it.
But wasn't she also mad at Sinatra in season one about the whole we thing and everything? I
Yes,
don't know.
but I think she also understands where her power comes from and where the opportunity comes from, and it's not going to be from Collins, although Collins does trust her. She thinks that Sinatra can be the one to help. I mean, how far you can elevate in a bunker of 25,000 people, I don't know, but that Sinatra is the one that's going to have the power.
Yeah. So we get the little through the flashback we learn about the breath mint thing, right? So that was a secret order and so on. Jane kills the president. She's at the end of the day framing Robinson. It seems clear to me that could not have been her original plan because she didn't know Robinson was going to show up, right?
Yeah,
She's taking advantage of that ultimately, but first she puts an X on him in blood or whatever, which would indirectly be blaming the youths who are causing trouble, including
yeah,
Xavier's daughter and Jeremy, the Cal's son, right? But that would have left things just kind of nebulous or whatever. This is how I'm reading it anyway, because Robinson is on her way there. Then she said, "Okay, well, here's an opportunity to frame Robinson, who is on to her." So I'm curious to see how that is going to play out as
Yeah,
well.
that may end up being sort of I don't know, the downfall of all this. But yes, her plan was clearly to mark Pierce with an X to make it look like that revolutionary group was responsible for this. Then Robinson shows up, so to make it look like she did it. But now you also have to convince people that she was a part of that put the X on him before or after he died and before. Driscoll was able to kill her. And so yeah, there's sort of a stretch or leap you have to make there. Yeah, I think this Driscoll showing up is going to somehow end up being what helps unravel this whole plan. I'm sorry, Robinson showing up helps unravel all that.
Yeah. Um, two different directions I want to go at once. But I guess first, let me ask, do you remember why Jane killed Billy? I remember clearly from season one that she did, but I'm struggling a little bit to remember exactly why she did.
Yeah, I think that he got just totally disenfranchised with what Sinatra was doing, basically saying, "I want out." He
Yeah,
went and had this night with Xavier and his kids. It's like this is so fun. He's like, just enjoy your night. Xavier, I got some things to tell you in the morning. And then he
right.
goes home, and that's when he gets poisoned. I think it was just Sinatra saw him as a liability, and he didn't obviously know anything about Driscoll being on her side as well.
No, yeah, because they were like together, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, definitely remember her killing him. Yeah, okay, I think you're right there. That so just him kind of turning on Sinatra and so on, because part of why I wanted to refresh my memory on that was that is what Robinson is discovering, right? Like she's looking at
Yeah.
the files on Driscoll, and it's like the one file where it's like everything is redacted to the point where it's like, why do you have a file if it's that redacted,
Right.
But she finds the engagement ring and so on. And the official story is that Billy killed himself, right? So she's got suspicious of all of that, and that's why she's coming after Jane. That's why she's on to her. So we'll see what happens. The other direction I wanted to go in at sort of the same time in our conversation is who becomes the president now? Do we know who becomes the president now? Did they establish who the new vice president was?
No,
I don't feel
I
like they
think
did.
it just opens the door for it to become Sinatra. Sinatra will say, "Look, the people that were responsible for guarding him, one of them was corrupt. One of them was responsible for this. We need a strong leader to help put this group down that killed him. They were able to infiltrate our Secret Service. Driscoll is, the best person we have." I think it's just opening the door eventually for a healed Sinatra to take that role.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. For her to take power back,
Yeah.
definitely. But maybe it's just because her character, right? She doesn't strike me as the kind of person who becomes the president. She strikes me as the kind of person who controls multiple presidents over the course of time. If you follow me there,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
true. That's true.
her character is the kind of person who's like more powerful than the president when it comes down to it, and to
Yes,
where
yes.
actually being the president would almost be some step down or something, if that makes sense. So I feel like even if this is a matter of her really taking over power in the bunker, that she would want some kind of figurehead or something to actually be the president, someone she can control, but
Yeah, as long as she can pull the
for the
strings,
public
she'll
sake.
be yeah, she'll be happy with what she's doing.
And then how far does she go in terms of following the frame job that Jane has set up and so on? Because that wasn't, well, I don't think that was really part of her initial plan. Um, she basically did tell Jane or whoever listening who had the opportunity, I guess, to kill President Baines. So James does that, but then framing Robinson, or also kind of framing, what do we want to call them, the resistance or what have you, whoever's been putting X's
Right.
around town. Um, I don't think there's any indication that they talked that through or anything like that. I'm just wondering, okay, how far is Sinatra going to go in kind of prosecuting people like Robinson, and then it also becomes Xavier's kids, Jeremy, right?
Yes.
I don't know who else, but those are the ones we know have been involved in uh, the X's and so on, I believe, right?
Yeah, Jeremy clearly is going to have a primary role this season in some kind of resistance effort, as you labeled. I think he was maybe even been upgraded to main cast for this season. So yeah, clearly he has got a big role to play here, and probably as his dad was leaving clues. I wonder if we see a lot of that, right? If we see Cal
Hmm.
Bradford, we find more clues and more things that he left for his son to uncover throughout this season that could help him with that effort. I would anticipate we start to. I mean, we didn't get any Cal Bradford in any of these three episodes except in the
Yeah, we did.
flashbacks, did we? What did we
Well,
get
in the
him?
it can only be in flashbacks at this point, Ryan. The man's dead,
Yeah.
right?
But I mean, like
So, but yeah, no,
from his no, do we get new flashbacks?
yeah, there was. Remember, it was like a flashback the night he won the presidency, and
Oh, that's right. And his dad's there. Yeah,
his dad's there, and then Sinatra ends up having this conversation, telling him about the. I should have made a note of Patrick Fischler's character's name as well. Anyway, if we got it,
Henry
that guy, the
Miller.
scientist
Henry
guy.
Miller.
What is it?
Henry Miller.
Henry Miller. Okay. Well, so anyway, she's telling Cal's dad about how he won't sell his technology or his business or whatever, and
Yeah,
then that leads to her introduction to Billy, right?
that's right. That's right.
So it was really only a little bit of Cal, but um, I guess it indicated to me that there's a likelihood that we'll get some more little flashbacks of him at least. James
Yeah.
Marsden's still around as a part of the show. I think at least as like a minor character at this point. I am curious. Any thoughts about what Jeremy is up to? You mentioned how he talks to Anders about blowing the doors off the bunker. I don't know if that's a direct
Yeah.
quote. He says something like that, where I'm not entirely positive what he means. I don't know. Any thoughts about what he might be up to? What he might want to do?
Yeah, I don't know how much I subscribe to that being, literally we're going to blow the doors off this place and get out of here, but more that you built this place, Anders. He says, I didn't work with anybody. I created this. It's like, so you built this place. You know what's happening here. So we're going to work together now that we're both here in prison to expose what's going on here. Basically, pick up my the end of my dad's life, his mission, and carry this forward. I think there's a sense of Anders thinks people in charge are ridiculous and morons. Jeremy thinks that they're whether they're authoritarian or sort of have their thumb on everything that's going on, and so together we're going to uncover all of this.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I'm also thinking about how he could mean kind of literally opening it up, right? So if they know that there are survivors out there in the world and they've got this bunker that is, a safe place for people to live and so on, that they've closed off the rest of the world from paradise, and
Yeah.
there's a kind of class element to this and so on and so forth,
Hmm.
where maybe he does have in mind opening it up kind of literally. Hey,
Yeah.
come in.
I mean, yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Really curious to see
I
where
did,
all this all goes.
yeah, I did get curious. I just looked this up. So, um, I wonder how much we'll see James Marsden this season. I had forgotten he is now a regular. He is a co-star on Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm, Apple TV. He is finished filming, but now is going to have a lot to do with the Avengers Doomsday movie. He's part of the Sonic the Hedgehog 4 movie. I wonder if we're going to get, as you indicated, much less of Cal Bradford this season as we did last season.
I would expect it won't be too much. I mean, it also doesn't make a whole lot of narrative sense, even
Yeah,
in terms of what he knew. I feel like season one established that it wasn't a ton. Like he kind of figured some stuff out about what's really going on, but he
Yeah.
didn't have full information for the most part either. And then, of course, as you'll recall, he's killed because he made a mixtape or whatever, right? And like that twist in terms of him being killed by the librarian guy or whatever, it was like it didn't have anything to do with the underlying conspiracy or anything like that. So
Yeah.
um, I would expect he might show up now and again, but I don't. Yeah, probably won't be a lot.
Yeah. I think that's a good assumption.
Yeah, I do enjoy his character on the show though, so always happy
Yeah.
to see him if it
I'm
makes
young,
sense.
bro. That's how I talk.
Yeah, indeed. His son Jeremy, that character, I have to say, I like a bit less, and
Hmm.
I hope he grows on me over the course of the season because he is sort of set up to be a major player as we move forward um, with the plot here. So hopefully he grows on me a bit. Maybe he will. Okay, let's see. Anything else we want to hit on and talk about in these first three episodes?
Well, I think that's it. Very curious to see how it all starts to get tied together with just one episode next week.
Yeah, same. All right, well, we'll leave it there. We'll pick up next week, continuing our coverage of Paradise. And also, we've been talking about Hijack. So we'll wrap up our discussion of Hijack next week as well, and then continue with Paradise week to week, moving into the future for the next bit. So thanks as always for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out tvobsessive.com. You'll find written work there on any number of TV shows. And you can follow us on social media. Search for TV Obsessive. You should find us. And as for the podcast, we'll be back with you next week.
All right. Looking forward to that. We will see you then.